Wow. A lot of history in this wall behind me. I mean, it's got prints that have taken place over the last couple years, and it also has this beautiful unfinished part of the wall at the top. You know, this is the Planet Express ship that Garrett and Chelsea sent me. This Chaos Cortec. Look at this thing. It's gorgeous. This is the awesome thing that Travis over at A Pyro Design designed and printed for me. That's how I got to know him. It's incredible. Bullet Bill, one of my favorite prints that unfortunately got left in a hot car and melted a little bit. The thing that started it all, my GoPro camera rig. Jeff Zugale's spaceship. The poor unfortunate thing that I stepped on that Maker's Muse designed. Sorry, buddy. The space gun that Ray used in the Star Wars movie, and the reason why I'm now good friends with Bill and Brittany Duran. The 3D printing nerd Open RCF1 car, designed by and printed by Daniel Noré, with tires by Anton Manson, and 2 of these were made. One was given off to someone else, and they actually made one for me. And how could we forget Blue Fossa, the blue 3D printed hairy lion that took 99 hours to print, and it took the internet by storm and is currently sitting at more than 2 million views here on YouTube. You know, there's a lot back here and there's a lot that needs fixing. So why don't I take care of this while you enjoy a video from my editor, Sean. His coworker had an issue with something that broke at home, and thanks to 3D printing, I think they're gonna be able to fix it. You'll have to watch the video to find out what happens. While you're watching that, I'll clear off this wall, we'll get to a blank canvas, and see what we can do. Have a good time, and I'll see you after the video, right here on 3D Printing Nerd.
Thanks, Joel. Super psyched to see that new set. Today I just wanted to show you guys something that I've done recently for a friend of mine. My friend Brett has a Frigidaire microwave. It's a Frigidaire Professional, I think. And on that Frigidaire Professional, there is a metal handle. And connected to that metal handle is this plastic, I think they call it an end cap thing. This plastic end cap, pretty simple overall in design, but what happened was Brad's wife ripped the handle right off of the microwave. She may be 100 pounds soaking wet, but apparently strong enough to remove the handle from the microwave. So we're gonna take a look today at a couple of ways to model this connector thingy. Again, I think Frigidaire calls it an end cap, in both Fusion 360 and Cinema 4D. I wanted to do Cinema 4D just because it's something a little bit different, something that we haven't really done here on the channel before, but also give you the option to use Fusion 360 because it's free, and that's something that we usually use around here in the realm of 3D printing. Now, the reason that we have to model this and print this in the first place is because Brad contacted Frigidaire, and to replace this, there are 2 of them, you have to replace this. And that's just a little much. I think the total cost was something near $300. The piece itself is $150. Then you have to spend $20 or so in shipping, and then you have to buy a screw set that replaces all the screws in the entire microwave, which is another $13, and then you had to pay for labor. When all was said and done, the total cost was about $300 because you can't just buy this piece individually, you have to buy everything. I need some calipers. So I used these digital calipers to measure this piece right here, and I made this sketch, this wonderful sketch. It's got all of my measurements that we need to go into either one of the modeling softwares, so let's do that. First, let's make sure that we're operating with millimeters instead of anything else. Go to Edit, Preferences, Unit, and change your unit measurement to millimeters. Now, within Cinema 4D, click on your pen tool and select Rectangle. We're going to make the width 25.8 millimeters and the height 32 millimeters. Now, hit the S key so that you can zoom in on the object and then use your scroll wheel to zoom out just a bit. Hold Control and drag a copy of the first rectangle up and make the width 23.7 millimeters and the height 10 millimeters. Now, match up the surfaces of the 2 rectangles. You'll see why we're doing this in just a bit. Now use the pen tool to create a circle, and for the radius, we want to type in 30 over 2. So the diameter of the circle is going to be 30, but the radius is half of that. And what we want to do, just to avoid any sort of math that we have to do in our heads, obviously 30 divided by 2 is 15, but for anything else in the future, typing in the diameter divided by 2 is going to get you the radius no matter what. Now raise the circle to the edge of the smaller rectangle. Now just zoom in a little bit to make sure that your edges are touching. Select the first rectangle and hit C, which changes the object to an editable object. Now use the Live Select tool and select 2 points. Holding Shift will select multiple points. Use the Scale tool to bring those points to match them to the second rectangle. We do this because the object is smaller on top than on the bottom. And now that we don't need the second rectangle, we can just delete it. Now use the Move tool to bring the circle right down to the edge. Over here in your tools, you can just make sure that you're in the points mode. And now go to Mesh, Create Tools, Create Point. Place a point right in the center on the Z-axis line. Use the Move tool to drag that point to the bottom of the circle and zoom in to make sure that you're right on. Now go to Mesh, Spline, and Soft Interpolation. Adjust the tangent line while keeping it level to match the curve of the circle. Now select your rectangle and change the angle to 0 degrees. And now we can delete the circle. Now within the spline modifiers, select Extrude. Drag the rectangle up to the Extrude modifier and make it a child of the Extrude. Now zero out the movement and change the X to 70.5. Go to the Caps tab and put a fillet cap on both ends of the extrusion, making the radius 2.5 millimeters and the steps 3 for both of them. And hey, we're looking pretty good so far. With the main object selected, hit C and select all objects by holding Shift. Now right-click on that and click Connect Objects and Delete. This turns the object into one mesh. Now go to Mesh Modifiers and select FFD Box. Make the FFD box a child to the extrude and click Fit to Parent and adjust all the grid points to 2. Now make a new box with 68.7 millimeters on the X, Y, and Z. Select the extrude object and zero out the X, Y, and Z and click Apply. Select that new cube and drag it up to the top of the extrude rectangle. Make sure to select the FFD box and go to Points mode and shift select all 4 points of the FFD box. Then select the Scale tool and use the red tangent line to scale down the top 4 points and meet the edge of the top cube. Now delete the top cube. Right-click on Extrude and select Current State to Object. Rotate your view to see the bottom of the object and select the Polygon tool. Select the box, then click Mesh, Create Tools, Extrude Inner. Head over to Offset and change that to 3 millimeters. This is going to create a border around the outside edge of the bottom of our object. Hit F3. This will take you to the 2D top view. Hit S to zoom in and center the object. In the top left corner, go to Cameras, then select Bottom. This will shift the view to the bottom, and now hit S one more time. Now go to Mesh, Create Tools, and Line Cut. Now we're going to cut up the bottom face into 3 even blocks. Hold Shift to create straight lines while you're doing this. Hitting F1 will take us back to the perspective view. Now use the Select tool to shift-click all 3 faces. Let's go to Mesh, Create Tools, Extrude, and set the offset here to -1 millimeters. This is going to raise the bottom up 1 millimeter from the floor. We're doing this on this model because the center box is like that on the actual injection molded piece. Shift select the 2 outside faces, and then go to the Move tool and click Extrude, and set the offset here to -22 millimeters to bring them off the ground completely. We're looking pretty good. In order to check your progress though, just hold the number 3 and then left click and drag. This will rotate around the center of the object that you have selected. Now, go to your Shape tools and select Cylinder and make the radius 5/2, which makes the radius 2.5 millimeters, and then make the height 10 millimeters. Now use the Move tool to drag the cylinder up. Move that cylinder to the edge. Now hold Control and drag the cylinder to create a copy. Make the radius of the new cylinder 3.5 millimeters by typing in 7/2. Now drag the original cylinder to the opposite side and change the radius to 5.3 over 2. Now select the larger cylinder and hold Control and drag a copy to the other side. Zoom in and match it up as best you can. Now select both of the larger cylinders and change the rotation segments to 60 to make these circles a little bit cleaner. Now let's add some fillets by heading over to the Caps tab. Rotate around the model by holding the number 3 and using the mouse to rotate around to make sure you're not breaking through the bottom. If you are, just avoid that by moving the cylinders up. With both objects selected, right-click them and select Connect to Objects and Delete. Now select the new objects that you just created and go to the Array tool and select Bool. I think it's Bool. Now make the newly created cylinder and the extrude a child of the Bool, and make sure the extrude is the first child, which makes it the Bool's favorite child. We've just created the guide holes for the screws that are in the original metal handle. Hit C to turn the Bool into an object. Now shift select all the objects under the Bool and right click, selecting Connect Objects and Delete to make them all one object. Select the cylinder and go to the Object tab and change the radius to 3.6 over 2 and move it to the other side of the hole, connecting the edges. Then Control drag to copy another cylinder and make that radius 2 millimeters or 4 over 2 if you want to use that method, and line the edges up. Now change the rotation segments to 60, just so you have a cleaner cylinder to create the hole that we're about to make. Now drag the spacer cylinder over to the other side and connect the edges. Then hold Control and drag the cylinder to bring it to the other side. We can move this cylinder out of the way. Now shift select both cylinders, right click them, and select Connect Objects and Delete. Head up to the Array tool and select Bool. Make the original Bool and the cylinder a child of the new Bool, making sure the original Bool is now the new favorite child. This will cut the cylinders and create the holes. Check your work, then select the parent Bool and hit C to make them all one object. Right-click the Bool and select Connect Objects and Delete. Now select the spacer cylinder and Control drag a new copy. Change the radius to 5 over 2 to create a 2.5 millimeter radius. Now move the bigger cylinder to the edge of the cutout, then select the smaller cylinder and move that over. Now let's make the radius 3 over 2 and connect the edge of the two cylinders. Now delete the bigger spacer cylinder. Select the Caps tab and let's make the radius of the fillet 0.25 millimeters. Make sure it's not breaking through the bottom. Now head over to the Array tool and select Connect. Now make the cylinder and the Bool a child of the Connect. The Connect doesn't have a favorite child, it's a pretty good parent overall. But now everything's awful and we have to make some adjustments in the Object tab. Select Fong mode, I guess, and select Highest. And uncheck Weld, and finally Textures. Now, select everything and hit C to make it one object. And now we're finished. Okay, that was Cinema 4D. I did not do the modeling on that. I actually reached out to my buddy Alan, who is a 3D modeler and animator, and he did that for me. But again, we just wanted to show you how to use Cinema 4D to model something like this. Now, on to Fusion 360. Okay, so the first thing we're gonna do is open up Fusion 360 and create a sketch. Now that we've got our sketch here, I'm gonna choose our plane, which is this one here. And according to my actual sketch, I'm gonna need a 70.5 length by 25.8 width. So I'm actually gonna use a rectangle and choose the center rectangle tool and click on the center position here, and then just do 25.8 by 70.5. Now I've got my rectangle. I also know that I'm gonna need a few cutouts on the top of this, but in order to do that, I'm gonna make it on the bottom and then extrude it up. I'll show you what I mean. So I'm gonna hit L for line, because I know I need the first cutout to be 6.5 millimeters from the edge. There's my first line. And then I know I'm gonna need a 7 millimeter hole right there. So I'm going to just use C for a circle tool, and I'm just going to choose a 2-point circle. The first point starting here, dragging it out, and I know I'm going to need it to be 7 millimeters, and there we go. I'm going to hit L for line. The next cutout is going to be 3.6 millimeters away from that. I'm going to hit C for circle, and then grab the 2-point circle tool. And this one is going to be 4 millimeters, and there we go. And then L for line one more time. And I know that this next peg is going to be 5 millimeters from that previous cutout. C for circle and get that 2-point circle tool. And this next peg is 3 millimeters total. Now I'm going to move over to the other side and do the same thing, but this one isn't quite as far in. It's only 5.3 millimeters in. 2-point circle, 7 millimeters. L for line, 3.6 millimeters between the two circles. 2-point circle and a 4 millimeter circle. Perfect. Now, I also know that I'm going to need a 3 millimeter wall around the entire object. So what I'll do to do that is create 2 more 3 millimeter lines and then use the rectangle tool one more time. I'm going to use the center rectangle tool right in the center again, and I'm going to come out till I touch those 3 millimeter lines. I'm sure there's a much easier way to do that. That's just how I know that my dimensions are correct. Okay, now I know I need to extrude everything here, and I know I need to extrude it 32 millimeters tall. But this end cap has a 2 millimeter or so difference on the top and the bottom. So it actually kind of angles in like this. So on both sides, on both the side and the front and the back. So I'm going to go ahead and do a negative 2 degree taper angle as it extrudes up. So here we have our new base body. Now what I need to do is create that kind of that dip in the top, the half circle cutout of the top. All right, so now I want to create a new sketch, and I want it to be on the X plane. I'm going to select that and bring down our model here, and I want to create a center circle. So I'm going to hit the C key to create a center circle. In order to create the proper cutout, I know I need that circle to be 30 millimeters. And now I will go ahead and move this circle until it just touches the edges. Like that. Okay, move this around, and now what I'm going to do, stop sketch, I am going to extrude this circle out, but I'm going to symmetrically extrude it. So that's going to actually cut the model in both directions. I'm going to do that 35 millimeters in each direction. And now we have our cut evenly across the entire model. Now let's go ahead and navigate up to the top like so. And I want to reveal my first sketch. What I'll do now is I'll actually go through and I will select everything that I want to remove from the base of the model. And I'm going to extrude and then bring it up, which will actually create a cut in the model. I know that it was 32 millimeters up, and I want this top to have a little bit of depth, so I'm only going to go up 22 millimeters. Now what I need to do is extrude these 3 holes all the way through the model. Great. Looking pretty good so far. We've got one more thing to do, which is create that peg on the top of the model. So let's go ahead and extrude this up. This will create a cut unless I want to create a new body. So 26 millimeters gets us all the way up to the top. And then I know I want that to come out about 3 millimeters from the body. So you're looking at 29 millimeter extrusion. Go ahead and click OK. And then if I want that to go away, I can just do this again, E to extrude. And now what I'll do is cut all the way up to the base. And click OK. Then the last thing we have to do is create a square in the middle for the screw from the microwave to actually go through and secure the end cap into the microwave. So I know that this square is going to be 24 millimeters in from this side, this line here, and I know that it will be, and I'm going to make it 17.8 millimeters in from this side, as to avoid this hole here. Now I'm going to create a rectangle, you can either hit the R tool or select it up in the sketch panel. And I want a 3-point rectangle and go all the way over to this one. And then I'm going to do the same thing on this side. Now I'll hit E to extrude this rectangle all the way up. And now we've got our model. So again, I know this might be a really a roundabout way to get to what we needed to do in Fusion 360, but it was the way that I knew how, and I'm sure you'll give me plenty of options in the comments on how to do this a little bit better. Okay, we've got some printed parts. Let's take a look at how they compare to the original injection molded piece. Here are the end caps, okay? So we've got the original pieces here. These were sliced in Slicer, Slick 3R, whatever you want to call it, Prusa edition at the 0.15 millimeter default settings, but I did boost up the infill to 60% to give it some more rigidity. If you take a look here, we did kind of make some sacrifices where we didn't put in the little cutouts that they have here on the original injection molded piece, and then we turned it around, saw the supports on. But what we did is, instead of doing these little wings here that shattered on the other piece when we took it off the microwave, we made this a big kind of square here just to, again, more rigidity, a more stable, sturdy part. Hopefully. We could be totally wrong. They might have done this for a specific reason. I guess we'll find that out over time. So here are both printed parts. Let's see if they fit. Boom, bam. That looks pretty darn good to me. Okay, now that we've got the pieces printed and they fit perfectly, let's go to Brad's and install the part. Hey Brad.
Hey Sean, how you doing, man?
Good, good. I brought you some replacement parts here.
Holy cow.
Here is the original, the injection molded piece from Frigidaire, right?
Yep.
And then here are the 3D printed parts
Perfect.
that Alan modeled and Alan and I modeled.
These are identical. That's crazy.
You like
Holy
them?
smokes. Yeah, I mean, I don't understand how you did it, but
Well, you have to watch the
crazy.
video. You'll have to watch the video.
Perfect.
Awesome. So now what we've got to do is we've got to attach these to a handle. Got the handle. All right, let's see if they fit. I know they did. I already tested them a little bit, but let's just make sure they're to your liking here. All right. So, good?
that's crazy. It's incredible.
Awesome.
It's phenomenal.
Awesome. So now we have to, screw them into here and then get them into the actual Frigidaire. You've already disassembled the interior, correct?
Disassembled. Yep, we should be ready to screw.
Okay. All right. So why don't you tell me, Brad, why don't you tell me about how this happened?
Yeah, so I'm a new homeowner. I come home one day and my wife said she ripped the handle off the microwave.
Your
And
wife did?
Yeah, it's hard to believe. I mean, it's a very expensive microwave. It's kind of shocking that, this is not something that's easily replaceable.
You're a newly expectant father, correct?
That's true.
Yeah. So your wife is pregnant. Obviously, that's what 2 and 2 equals.
Yep.
Or do you think that had anything to do? Maybe some pregnant strength coming in here ripping.
I think
ripping
so.
the handle
I mean,
right off?
she gets hangry. Okay, she gets hangry. She comes home, or in the morning she's waking up middle of the night, trying to make a snack, and she obviously had the brute force to rip the thing and shatter this plastic piece, which I mean, I don't know how that happens, but it did.
All right. Now we got these attached. All we have to do is attach it to the microwave. What do you think?
Man, thank you so much.
No problem.
That is incredible. I mean, for the price it would have costed me to get that replaced. I mean,
right, because I went over a little bit earlier in the video,
Yeah.
but it was like $150 just for, you have to buy the whole handle to get those 2 pieces.
it made no sense.
And then you got to pay for the screws for the entire microwave. Then you got to pay shipping, and then you got to pay someone to come out and fix it for you because they don't want you to do it by yourself. But here we did it by ourselves with a little bit of 3D printing, modeling, and yeah, we did it.
It looks great.
Awesome.
Thanks a lot, man.
No problem. Okay, back from Brad's, back in the studio. So today we learned a little bit about 2 different modeling softwares, both Cinema 4D and Fusion 360. Fusion 360, free, great program. Cinema 4D, not free, but an also great program. Just use whatever is available to you. Both are great softwares to use for modeling. We also learned that 3D printing can be a great way to avoid having to spend a ton of money to replace something that was just so simple. I mean, here's the original injection molded piece right here. It's simple, it's just plastic. It's probably just ABS. Frigidaire just wanted way too much money for this little tiny plastic piece. That's it, guys. Thank you so much for watching and coming along on that journey with me. I'm sorry I'm not Joel, but hopefully while he does his thing in Seattle, my little Michigan studio sufficed. Don't forget to hug each other more. And as always, high five.
there you are. Welcome to the end of the video. I hope you enjoyed it. It was cool to see Cinema 4D in use. It was also cool to see Fusion 360 do it as well. Sean's a good person. I hope you give him some good comments down below. For me though, look, we're back to holes in the wall. That's everybody's favorite, right? Well, I'm gonna have to find room for all of these to store them somewhere, or perhaps give them away. The shelves that were behind me we're gonna have to find some room for those as well. And the next shot from here should be different. It should be different. That's the goal. That's the goal. That's all I got. That's all the goal. For now, I guess I'm gonna offer you all a high five, and I'm gonna go turn the lights out. See you in the next one.